Hmm. Hello, hello. Long time no see. Been having some issues with my streaming software. I decided to use Stream Elements instead of the one I was using, and it has been a little bit of a learning curve, to tell the truth. How do I add the overlay that I set up on their page? I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to try to get the stream stuff to look right real quick. And then I will give some updates on the game dev project. Hopefully this just takes me a second. I guess I don't really know it's only going to take a second, but it doesn't seem like it should take that long to get this to work. Alright, let's see. I need to find my overlay. Let's see what this one looks like. That's not it. I don't think it saved. I'm gonna have to re-edit this thing. Man, I had that all laid out good too. Oh well, I didn't really do that much. Let me see if I can figure this out. Get rid of that. This is gonna go on the corner, but I don't need it. That can go there. You guys can't see what I'm doing, can you? I'm deleting all of the social media icons. Let's see, I'm gonna move my kind of recent stuff here. Let's see, how do I zoom out? Because I can't see that. Yes, just move that in there. What the heck is that? This is not easy. Those aren't even the right items. Recent sponsor. What the heck is a sponsor? I'm not calling out any sponsors. I don't have any sponsors. Why isn't this working? I don't think I have anything you guys can't see. I'm going to move this over. I don't want to share any personal information, but I'm trying to get this overlay. But I had a lot of changes saved. I think it was this one. And it doesn't appear like it saved anything. Oh, now wait, that is saved. Alright. That's good. That's what I had. Maybe I clicked. So I have YouTube and Twitch set up. And this was set to YouTube, and I guess there's different overlays for each theme. Alright, let's see if I can do this. So I need to add this to my OBS, which for some reason doesn't work on my secondary monitor. I can't bring any I can't bring anything up. I don't understand that. Okay, and then this needs to paste in my URL. 1920 by 1080. Okay. Alright, there it is. I see the little chat window over here. I don't know that it's actually connecting right. It doesn't look like everything's tapped in. I wonder how I do that. Let's see. Yeah, see it shows 0 followers. I mean, I don't have many, but I do have more than 0. It must not be tapping into the data. Or I don't have it set up right on the whichever overlay this is. I got so many tabs open, I'm getting confused. Let's close some of this. Don't know why I have 5 gazillion tabs open, all on the same thing. So how do I... I don't know, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'll turn on off the overlay for now. I'm just glad I could get it to stream, because I couldn't even get the streaming to work. It wasn't connecting to my accounts correctly. A little frustrating this week. I was going to stream yesterday, and I just redid all this, and it took me hours, and I just didn't have time after that. And now I don't know. There's the follower goal, but how do I change? I either have to change something or it's just not. Plus there's nothing in the chat. I wonder if I typed something myself if it would appear. Did that appear in the chat box? Oh, it did. Okay. The chat box is working. And see, this is my stream manager in the Twitch overlay, and it shows I have 15 followers, and that's what I thought Stream Elements would grab into that API and pull the same thing up, but right now it looks like it says 0. I don't see... If I select... I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. The widget data in the dashboard? I don't remember doing anything with widget data. I don't see anything that says widget data. There it is. Let's see what this says. I don't want to type these in manually. Or maybe there has to be a special, like, variable or something that I put in these. I have no idea. No idea. Guess I need to watch a video. They don't make this very easy. There it shows 15 on this page. I mean, am I pulling the wrong thing? Maybe I'm pulling subscribers on that little thing at the top. Did I close my little editor? I guess I did. Alright, let's see if I can edit that. It says followers. It doesn't say subscribers. I don't know that that means anything, but I think I clicked down here to add it. And then I clicked I don't remember what I clicked here though. Followers, goals, follower goal. And then I changed this to 25. And then I made it smaller. That's all I did. Made the text smaller too, but I mean that shouldn't do anything to it. I don't remember what size I used, 16 maybe. I just didn't want it to take up too much screen real estate. Something like that. But it's still not updating. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'll worry about that off stream. I'm going to move all of that back off of here. And let's get our project open so I can show the few updates I've made. And maybe we have a little bit of time to work on this. So this is the Unity project. And I also need to open the server project, which is a Java project, and I use IntelliJ IDEA for that one. So we need to get both of these open, and we also need to open JetBrains for the IDE for Unity. And I also want to open Scrivener because that is the text editing tool I use to keep track of our tasks. I could use just about anything for that, but it's very plain Jane, and it allowed me to kind of break stuff out like I wanted to, so. Alright, everything's opening. Unity's still opening. Alright, so here is our current task list and where we ended. I think the last time I was able to stream was Monday. So we've gotten a lot of green shaded items. The last thing we worked on was kind of cleaning up the combat UI and getting loot to work on the combat summary screen. So that part was all done. Now I'm getting to this part where I want to create this playtest. So what I started working on was a start game character creation screen. And it kind of falls into this whole line item here. I want to be able to generate unique hero sprites, I should say, that get saved in the database. So there's a JSON string that stores all of the data tied to that sprite. And I'm going to store that in the database, and then I want to be able to load that and make it display correctly in the combat scene and the inventory scenes and so forth. So once I get that set up, I'll create a scene to either start a new game or load a game that's in progress. And then we'll be ready to schedule that first playtest, which should be, like I said, I'm hoping I can schedule that very soon. And then I have a lot of time off at Christmas. That's why I still, even though I should probably rename this though, because Christmas itself, it's not going to be, but my Christmas break, I'm off until the 6th of January, and I'm going to have a lot of free time to work on some of these, so I'm still hoping to get several of these done, maybe not all of them, but that's still in play here. I've just been busy finishing up some work projects and stuff this last week, so I haven't been on as much as I normally would be. Alright, I think everything is started now. And alright, so this Unity opened up the scene I was working on for the character creation. So I don't have a lot done yet except for the UI elements. I haven't connected any of this to any code on the back end to get it to work. Like if I click play right now, I don't really think anything's going to happen. But I started with, they had a editor for the heroes that came with the Fantasy Heroes asset that I'm using. I really cleaned that up, removed a lot of stuff that I didn't have in the game or that I wanted included on the character creation part. So there used to be options here for all the equipment. That's not what I'm going for here. I'm just wanting people to be able to set up the naked character, and then inventory and equipment is what will actually add stuff to the character after the fact. So you can see here it gives options to do their face, their hair, their beard, eyebrows, eyes, ears, and their mouth. So it gives you all those options. It also gives this first one, which is just the body, so there's no other options for body right now. But I couldn't turn it off or it was acting like something was missing that it required. So I have here where they can add the name. Now eventually I'll add a section here for them to pick the job or class that this hero will have. It'll go right here. But since I haven't implemented that yet, I'm not going to implement that on this screen just yet either. But what happens is when you click these icons, this is kind of like a toggle tab setup here where when you click one, it toggles that section on, and then this populates with all the options. So if you click hair, all of the hair options show up down here, and then you can click those. I don't think I have that working yet. Let's start the server, and then I'll try to start Unity. But like I said, I think I have pieces broken right now that I need to finish before that's actually going to work correctly. But we'll see. Maybe that part will at least work. And it's the main thing is it's not triggering any type of work on the back end for sure. I know it's not triggering any RPC calls to the server to make updates. So I know that part's not for sure not done yet. Plus what I want to happen here, so there's 6 different positions that you will create heroes for in your party. And I want you to be able to click on these, and that should change which character you're working on in this screen over here. And then they should also populate here. So whatever hero this ends up looking like should show up in the box as well. And then there'll be another button. These are just like test buttons here that I have on here, but eventually there'll just be a new button somewhere here. I'll probably move this up so there's a little bit of space on the bottom, and it'll just say save party or continue to game or something like that down here, and that will do the final save where it saves all this data to the database along with the actual visualization for the sprite. And then we'll have to go into the combat and inventory scenes and figure out how to make it pull those visualization JSON files in and load them correctly. So that'll be a little bit of effort as well. But there's not too much to this, so we're going to have to define a just a button here where when you click this, it'll change which hero is referenced over here. So we're going to have a kind of a controller for this whole page, and there'll be a list of the hero units, and then whichever one is selected will be like a selected unit. We'll go here. So that should work that way. And then I want to test, like I said, I'm going to do a first test just to do a save and a load call from the RPC side. So we'll set up an RPC call to save, which really all we're doing is adding an extra field to the hero table to save this. But we also need to, we need to pull that data appropriately in the call. So that needs to get added and pulled correctly. And then we need to reference that new data to update this. So that's why I put this here. I'm going to put like a load, and from there we can trigger an update to this and make sure that it's working. So that's where we're at. Let me open I got pretty much everything open. I want to open the SQL Workbench as well so we can see the database. Okay, our table structure is getting a little complex, but not too bad. So hero, and I don't think I added this field yet, but I'm going to double check. Oh, I did add a field. Okay, I added a field called visual info. Let's check. Okay, it is in the entity file for Java. And the only other thing is I'd have to update the hero service conversion routines to look at that new file and pull it in. And actually, I don't know if it's in the proto file yet. It needs to be there as well. Okay, it is there. So this is the database to the unit. So we need to set, that's in the hero part. I don't think I added this yet, but I'm just double checking. Alright, I don't see it. So we need to add a section here called hero builder dot set visual. Okay. I must not have ran the update for the generated proto files yet. So let's do that real quick. I'm just going to run a clean because I haven't done that in a little bit and I don't know what's in there. Let's stop the server and let's run the Maven install command, which in the plugins will also generate the proto files. Alright, is this... Guess this is working okay. Yeah, I think this stream elements stuff will work better once I figure it out. Right now, nothing's showing up. It doesn't seem to be linked to my account correctly. Although I use the linkings and start stream elements to actually start the stream, and that part worked, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. And the chat is empty again. Am I seeing that right? Yeah. Maybe it defaults after so many minutes, it just disappears. Because I can see my chat through my streaming software, and it shows that there's 2 different chats in there. So all right. That finished building, so now we should be able to set visual info. And that should be... Alright, so that one, now we need the other one. And it's going to be the same thing. Just double checking that I didn't already include it. And I know I didn't. Okay, so we need to set visual info. Get hero dot get visual info. Alright, so that should make the server send the new data appropriately and technically save it appropriately once we pass it through the system. So we'll have to create something on the Unity side, and we'll have to create an RPC call in the unit proto as well to update. We do have an update hero call already. That might work. We might already have a call set up to do that. Let's see. Update hero. I mean, it takes the unit in, and it just literally saves the data to the database. So, wait, that's not the override though. Oh, there's the override. All right, so we pass in the hero unit. It just does a few checks to make sure the data is valid. Yeah, it looks like we've already got this part set up. I mean, you can see we're making the save right here. We're doing the conversion right here, so yeah, I think we're good. So that, although we're not really updating a hero, in this instance we're actually creating a hero, and that might be the call we still need. Well, he says we have a create hero as well, though. See, I made all these originally, but we haven't really used them on the game yet. We just created a lot of these when we were first starting out. So let's see. This one's pretty basic. It doesn't do a lot of checks. It probably should do more checks than it is doing. But it mainly converts it to a database entity and then saves it off. So that would still work, though, to do the... If I make that call on the save JSON button, if that call happens, then I should be able to do a load JSON to pull it back in, just as a test. Okay. So what we need to do over here, I guess, first of all, let's test it and see if it works at all, or what I need to fix to get this part working. So I want to be able to update the visuals for this guy here. And then what I need to do is link this little editor to kind of my back-end data system. Okay, so it looks like the editor part might be working. Yeah, so I can click through. I can pick different elements here. And on certain ones, if this isn't grayed out, this little art icon here, then that means you can actually change the color. Oh, I do need to fix that. That's appearing off screen. All right. So normally you can change the color. You can add a beard. You can change their eyebrows. And some of this stuff overlaps where you don't see everything. I mean, like the beard right now is totally blocking the mouth, so there's really, even if I add a, oh no, the mouth shows up on top of it. Okay. Yeah. Nothing crazy here, but it gives you the options. And then when I click this button, right now it's saving it to a file, but I'm going to change this where it saves it in our RPC call, just as a test for now. And then eventually this new button down here will save the entire group of 6 heroes that we're creating in a call. But as a starting test, what I can do is save it, and it'll populate the database, and then I'm going to click load. I'm going to have to probably stop it and start it. And when it starts, it'll be blank again, and I'm hoping when I click load, I can load that data back into this hero that we're working on. So let's fix that color box that's jumping off the screen. That'll be a really quick fix. So that is, where's that at? Right here. Let's enable it so we can see where it's at. And we just need this to be right about there. Maybe right about there. Okay, that's fixed. Easiest fix we're going to do today right there. Okay. Now, the Save as JSON button. Or maybe I'll leave those buttons alone and just add another button. I might, because those are already set up to save to a file. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Come on, delete. Alright, I want to copy this button. And we're going to name this update hero DB. Or maybe I should just say save to database. And then I'll make another one for load from database. Okay. And then we just need to change the text on those. And I realize these are overlapping my thing up there. We can probably just adjust that up a little bit for now. This is all just a little bit of testing here. So the inventory, we'll just adjust that up a little bit for now. All right. Can I reorder those? Let's see. Not tabs, buttons. So let's move the two JSON ones together. There we go. That works that way. Okay, so the save to database, we're going to create a new call, and it's going to be in our file, not in the one that they have called character editor. So I created this party panel controller. I haven't really put anything in there yet. I was just starting to think through the process here. So we're going to have the prefab. We're going to have a I can make this public for now. Selected unit. Okay. And then whatever unit is selected should be what ties into this new call. So we're going to create a save to database call. We can set that up over here. I'm going to lock this so this doesn't disappear off of here. And then figure out where I put the party panel controller at. If I did it all yet. I might not have added it anywhere yet. I guess it makes sense to put it up here. Let's rename this character creation UI. And what's on there right now? There's an image I added just so I could see where the... Oh, that's not right. I forgot this isn't updating. I need to turn that off, don't I? Because I need to update this. Alright, so I added the image just so I could see where the screen boundaries were. I can turn that back off. The rest of that standard Unity, and then I just want to add the party or create party panel controller unit prefab. Can we use the same one we use in combat? Probably. Okay. This is going to be the prefab for this. Do I have it set up that way? Where am I looking? Yeah, I do. Yeah, so that's a prefab. I don't have all the code for that either. There's going to be a separate script on this to manage loading the sprite for whatever heroes here, and just to store the unit data for that section. Okay, let's see. Okay. So we didn't set the button yet. That's what we were working on. Don't you hate when you lose track of what you're doing? Alright, this. Turn the lock on just long enough so I can go grab this script and drop that into the button. That should allow us to find this new controller and pick the save to database method to be called when that's clicked. We can go ahead and add the other one too right now, since we're in here. We're really just setting up the calls. The events that trigger when you click the button. Okay, let me turn that back off. Then we click load from database. Then we turn that back on. We really don't have to turn that on because I can be grabbing and dragging this. But that's okay, it's fine. Load from database. Okay. Let's save the scene. I don't want to lose any of these changes. Alright, so that will trigger the save to database. And what we're going to have to do here is we'll have to set up some base values. Since we don't have the job implemented yet, that's kind of where the base values would come from for a hero. So we'll just hard code something for now to store in the database. It doesn't even have to be all the fields, just to show that it's storing something. And then we want to see that it saves it to the database with this call. So that's the first thing we're going to work on. So we're going to say, what do we need here to make this work? We're mainly setting up a unit. Up here, we have a list of units, but when we're starting out, we're not going to have anything. So I guess we might need a create base unit. I don't know what we want to pass to it yet. Can I just do a new unit? And we just need to define all the underlying objects, which is the hero unit. Apologize. And the common unit. Right? So can I do the same thing here? Initialize that. I don't know that this is going to work yet. You can't do this in Java this way. You have to use the builders, but I don't know if there's builders. Yeah, I don't know. See, it's not even finding... Well, I mean, it finds all the elements there. And all we're wanting to set right now... So we could set the job could just be Squire. Or Peon. Peon sounds better. We're hard coding stuff right now. We won't do that in the long run, but... So the player game ID. Will that have already been... Will that have already been generated? Because we kind of need that already, don't we? Because when you store this data in the database, that's the way you know how to pull what back for what player. Is that player game ID that is stored for each hero. And then the party table itself also has that same reference. So we'll go ahead and set this for now. Let's make it game 2. I don't want to overwrite the other test data we have. This is going to be our first time testing a second game in the database. So let's call this jbandy2. I think my username was jbandy. Let's double check that. jbandy98. 2. Alright, so that means the game ID will be 2. We'll have to define all the calls to generate these updates in the tables. So, I mean, game ID 2 should have already been generated through one of the prior screens when you're creating a new game. So, I mean, the initial screen would probably say, pick a name for your game. All this other, maybe I could say pick a kingdom name and a name for your game. The rest of this is all tied to either starting the game, like it's just going to generate this stuff, or your account name, which that's stored in the player table now. So I changed the player table to be more like an account table in most systems. It's going to have eventually a encrypted password and just general account data that I need, nothing special. But that will be a way for a player to log in and be tied to the account that we want. And then when they say after they've logged in, they'll have an option to create a game. Once they add those two elements, like I said, it'll ask for a game name and a kingdom name, and then there'll be like a next button. When they click next, that will trigger the RPC call to generate this, which will return a game ID. That game ID then gets tied to the username to define the player underscore game ID that gets set up in the hero table and the party table and a couple other tables. But I mean, for the initial game creation, those are the two that'll be getting updated. The party table and the hero table will be getting updated on that character creation scene. So we need this, but we will be able to get this by then. So that's just what I was trying to think through to make sure I had the data we needed there. Is there anything else I need to set at this level? No. So then we just have to set something in the common unit. We don't have to set everything because we're just testing this right now. Let's set the strength to 10. Oops, I don't know why I did it that way. And that might be all I need, just a few test items. And then I guess the unit dot common equals common unit. This is running kind of slow for some reason. I'm typing faster than it's showing up. Okay. And then I just need to return unit for this test object. So I guess what this will do, so I'll create a unit, test unit equals create base unit. And then I need to get the JSON from the character script. And I think I was looking through that. Was it this one? No, it's this one. So this is all part of the character class. The way they have this set up, they're using partial classes that span across 3 or 4 pieces to fill out the character class. But they have a toJSON which returns a string for the character. So we need a reference to this in our code. And then we just need to do the toJSON to save that to the database. So let's see. Over here we're going to need I just need to figure out how do I assign this correctly. Right now it's using the character editor. And I mean, we can keep using this. We'll save our own version of it to our system. This even has, does this update? Let's see, where was that getting used at? One spot. In the load scene. So this isn't getting updated. This is only... I don't even know what this is doing. We won't use that. I don't want to start deleting stuff out of this code just yet because it's kind of fragile. I kind of did that with the inventory system and I broke everything and it took me a while. So I'm going to leave a lot of their stuff in here for now and get my stuff working, and then I'll slowly remove their pieces one thing at a time. Where do they reference the character in here? Where's this defined? I see it. Character base. Where's that class at? Okay. Alright. So there's just an abstract class above. Called character. So I could make the character editor into a singleton. Member is already defined. Where the heck's it at? Okay. So now we have a way to reference it from our script. And then how do we... If that's part of the character, I should just be able to do the toJSON off of that element, I think. Let's see. So what we want to do here, let's just say visual JSON equals character editor dot instance. Need to import that. Dot character dot toJSON. All right. For now, let's just debug that out so we can see if that's working, if that much is working. We already have the button triggering this event. We want it to create a base unit down here, which this doesn't play into this at all. Eventually, we're going to tie this into the object we created's visual info field. And then we're going to send it to the server to get saved. Alright, let's test that much out. I think we have enough there that this should possibly work. Mainly what I want to do is change a few elements and see that it's changing the JSON as well. I want to make sure it's updating. I think it is. I think this is going to use anything that we have stored on this item. Alright, let's see. So... Oh, it's not working. Something's not working. I didn't push play yet. I swear sometimes. Okay. Let's click save first before we make any changes. Oh, wrong button. Alright, so you can see the big long JSON string down there. The colors. I am going to have to update. I noticed one little bug. I don't know if it's a bug on their end or my end after I made all the edits to this, but you can't change their body color. You can only change their head color. But I want, when you change this, I want it to change their body and their ear colors as well. So see how it's only changing their head? So I definitely want that to be different. But let's change, I don't know. It's kind of hard to read what's going on in there, but let's look for an element that we can change. So let's see. I can see that it says we have the human ears, and that's kind of close to the top of the JSON. So let's go to ears and set those. And now let's click save again and see if it updates. Elf ears. All right, good. So this is updating the JSON. So if I, in theory, when you click right now, when I click this, I should be able to save this to the database. And then as far as the workflow in here, what would normally happen is this, none of these buttons will actually be down here. There's just going to be updates you make here. And when you go to switch heroes, it will trigger the save to database on what's in there first. That one will get saved back. The updates will get saved to the, and it might even do it as you're changing it, but it'll get changed to the sprite that's showing up over here. And then it will run the load routine for the selected unit that you picked. And if it comes back null, that's when it creates a new unit. So it'll be kind of like an if. If there's already a unit here, load that JSON from the database into this sprite. It'll still be this will never change. This, as far as the UI and the Unity objects, this will always stay as this one character sprite. We're mainly just updating this one over and over, and then we're saving the data and loading the data from the database to change it. So from the back end, that's all we're doing. We're not actually doing anything with this. It's just we're manipulating this over and over with the data. And then over here, these same things will happen. Like these little mini scripts for each one of these boxes will load a hero unit object, this sprite object, I mean. And then it will load the JSON for that sprite object within these scripts that are going to run for each one of these boxes. In theory, that's what I want this to do to make this all work. Okay, so we have a way to save it. Now, let's go ahead and run that since we already have an RPC call. Let's test saving it to the database. We'll make a few changes like we just did. We'll save it to the database. Then we'll stop running Unity. We'll start it, which will lose anything that we had made, but then we'll click load from database and we'll just hard code the unit that we saved. and see if it loads the changes into this UI element. I think that's, I don't think this is going to be hard because a lot of this is kind of already built into this system. We're just going to test it piece by piece though. So what we're going to do now, we can get rid of this debug since we know that that's working as intended. We want to update the test unit hero.visual. How can I do this? Oh, it's not in the visual? Oh. I didn't pull the changes over. I didn't pull the changes that I made to the proto file over. Alright, so let's see if it saved that. Okay. Let's let Unity compile those changes. Pretty cold outside today. Alright, that's done. Now, we should be able to grab that now. So test unit dot hero dot visual info equals visual JSON. Alright. And then we need to reference, we don't really have a manager yet for, I don't know if we need a manager for this page to, I'm talking about managing the clients, the RPC clients. I mean, we'll still have to do the network manager with the game server client on it. And once we do that, we should have the clients accessible. So that should be all we have to do. Let's see. So let's create a new empty object and just call it network manager. And we're going to add the game server script to this. That should be all we have to do. So now over here we can do game server dot instance dot hero client dot create. Oh, I didn't define the create yet. Okay. Because I haven't actually used it in the UI in the Unity side. All right, let's go find the client class under networking. Okay, so I need to create internal unit create hero. I think we're using a hero request for that. We'll be able to tell here in a second. Create hero. Yes, it uses the hero request. That's not how I wanted to do that. I want to pass in the hero. There, that's what I wanted to do. And that should return the hero unit back, so we'll do a debug on that to make sure that we get it back. So dot create hero, we're going to pass in our test unit. And I guess we just want to reassign that back. And then maybe after that, let's do another debug. And let's see if we generate a hero ID. Okay. Hero ID generated, common ID. That'll let us know if that whole generation process is working, because I don't know that we've tested this yet. This whole time we've been using heroes I generated through MySQL and not through the server. So this will be a test of generating a hero and making sure that it's working as we intended. There's the one thing I want to test here, I mean, besides getting this RPC call to work, we also need to make sure the sequence generation works for the unit. And what I mean by that is we don't want overlapping IDs for heroes and monsters. So if you look up here, the way that we're defining the hero ID, we're using a generator that we created called unit sequence. And if this works correctly, this should generate a unique number higher than, I don't know if it'll be higher, but this won't overlap anything in the generated monster table. And so, I mean, you can see right now, these were just all, when I first started, before this sequence was generated, it did this. But if we look at the generated monster table, because it's using the same sequence, I mean, it's up in the 1200s already. So in theory, when I create this hero, the new ID generated should probably be higher than this. And we can look at, the next value will be 1301. So we can see the sequence number that it's going to use, if I'm reading this correctly. So that's the other thing we want to check for anyways. We want to make sure that the hero ID gets generated correctly. I don't know that this is going to generate. Did we set that? I think we did. Let's double check. Oh yeah, we set it here. So that'll generate that. We want to make sure that shows up. Our couple of test items here should show up. The job unit should show up. And the only reason I'm adding that is because in the UI I have a job field that I want to make sure updates just with test data for now. And then we actually need to set the name up here too. We didn't set the name yet. I'm not even grabbing the reference to the name yet. How do I do that? Let's see. I don't remember what kind of element that was. I think it's some type of Text Mesh Pro item, but I don't remember what it was. Buttons. Name input. Text Mesh Pro input field. Okay, so there's a text component on the input field that links back to the one that shows up in the UI. There's nothing in there right now, but if I enter something, you'll see it should appear, right? Maybe not. What about the placeholder? This is probably set up where the placeholder turns off when you type anything in. Yeah, see, it's got a reference to the placeholder as well. I'm sure this is probably going to work. Okay, so we need a reference to Text Mesh Pro. I don't know what it is. TM Pro dot input. I don't know if this is it. I'm gonna find out if that's an item I can put in there. Let's do that first before we set up the code. So on the script, come on, stop compiling for so long. All right, so right here I grab the name input. That's not the name input. Try again. Name input. And it did let me put it there, so maybe that's good. I don't know that I need this reference yet. It's fine that it's none because we're not calling it anywhere. Alright, so the name input's saved, which means I should be able to set that as well. So let's do test unit dot common dot name equals hero name field dot, is it text or is it value? It's probably text. Well, it didn't let me put text there. Yes, it did. It just took a second. Let me check my messages. Oh, I got someone over to do some check on some computer work, so I have to get off here in a little bit. Alright, let me finish this up for today, and I should be back on sooner than I was last time. Maybe even tomorrow. Let's do this test run real quick. Works or doesn't work. I just want to see. So we're setting the name field, the JSON field, and a few test fields down here. We want to see if it updates the database. So I think that's enough to test that out now. So let's run that and see what happens. Alright, so we're going to change the ears again. Maybe put that little thing on his head. Give him some funky... Let's change the color of the eyes to yellow. Alright. Now let's click Save to Database. Oh, I think that means the server's not running. Try this again. We'll have to restart Unity's as well, so it makes those server connections when the game server starts up. So let's wait for this to start. Okay. Okay, let's make some changes again. Okay, save to database again. Well, it got past the client call, but it said it was null, so I'm kind of iffy that this actually did anything, but let's just check. No, nothing in the database. Did anything trigger in the UI? Error while creating hero. Alright. Well, we got a little bit. I got to get off of here for now, but we did get a little bit done. We're kind of moving in the right track where we just need to kind of do this step by step. Get one single hero to update and load correctly, and then we'll be able to store the data on that list so that we can trigger updates to each one of those little boxes we created. Alright, I got a couple customers coming over, so I am going to get off of here for now, but I appreciate everybody that was watching today. Thanks again. Talk to you later.